Hey, vinyl community, Steve here, FlipSideCT, and in my last video, I talked about my absence. I was out for a couple months for reasons, and I explained it there. And I talked about wanting to give away some MP3 cards that I've accumulated. So what I want to do is give somebody an opportunity to get one here. And so I usually do like a question. If you could answer how many pets did I lose in what I mentioned in the video in that June, July time frame, 2-3 months, whatever it was, less than that. But how many did I lose? So if you see down below, I will put in the description, the MP3 is available or the MP3 is not available. So if you answer something correctly and you want one of these, then you got it. Can't guarantee that these are going to work. We'll see. Worth a shot if you want an MP3. Somehow you got to communicate how I'm going to get these to you. I have no idea unless you want to write your number and then delete it. Facebook me. I don't know. You got to figure it out. I'm not going to think about it, but you somehow let me know your email and I'll send it. No problem. So how about Slow Dive? I don't know what album this is, but I got a Slow Dive album to give away. You could choose that. You could choose Elliott Smith, his album New Moon. Or how about Greg Allman's Southern Blood, the last album he did before he passed. So you could choose one of those three, and I think I explained it enough there. So I mentioned about 2 cats that we had. They were from the SPCA, and we had to wind up giving them back. The woman at the place said, gave us bogus information. Their health wasn't great. Their age was much older than they were, and they were one was at least very timid, and we couldn't just keep one. They were both together, packaged, so we had to return them. We knew somebody at a shelter, and they immediately called us and told, because my wife really wanted to get the cats, but 2. We went to the shelter. There were 5 kittens together, and she couldn't decide, so we're getting 3. Cute as a button. These are really cute cats and wonderful cats. She's been going there every other day. We won't have them for another couple of weeks, but that's my saga with the animals and the pets. We want to get them for the house. Yeah, we do miss their presence. It's really special when you have them. So I went in early August with my wife. We usually travel for her business and get to go to some neat places. And we went to Salt Lake City, Utah, and we're there for a couple days for some training, but took advantage of sightseeing. So when we got out there, we went to Park City, which is about an hour drive east through the mountains. That's where the Olympics were held. It's also Sundance Festival, and it happened to be an arts festival going on, and it was really, really very cool. Probably one of the best art festivals we've ever seen, and I've been to plenty. And we didn't buy anything. It was way too pricey for us, but the products were the vendors were so creative, so good. So I ran into one guy, Greg Turco Photography, Greg Turco Photography. He's got a website. As you could see, I really got attracted to his photos and what he was selling. I asked him if there was any Stones albums. Yeah, as you look in there, there's like 3 of them. He's bought a bunch of classics here. He does cassettes, he does CDs, he does 8-tracks, and he does a lot of other pictures. I was bullshitting with him for a while. Really cool guy. So I just wanted to plug him a little bit. And so I did take my wife to some of the stores for her. And I did wind up saying I did want to see some record stores. I had to while I was out there. I didn't know really intend to buy, but I did visit one called Randy's. It was in the town. I didn't spend too much time there. Wasn't so pleased. Nothing really hit me. Probably good for some people, but it wasn't good for me. I wound up going eventually to one a little south of the city called Sound and Vision. And I hit it off with the owner. He was from New York, from Long Island. We just bullshitted, as soon as I went in there, and we were just talking and talking and talking. Great conversations that you would really want. Had some great stories to show me, and he showed me some personal pieces of artifacts that he got, some Sex Pistols, and he was really, really into it. And he, at 13 years old, he wrote to the companies to get anything he can. Like, he got some pistol stuff from, 76 from the companies and dolls. Anyway, the one album I was thinking again was that Simon and Garfunkel album, the early one. I wasn't sure what it sounded like, but he had some fun things there. And I then went right after to a store called Thrash, I think. A skateboarding heavy punk, newer heavy punker store. I went through the collection and it just wasn't for me. Some of the albums I had that I thought were good, and I had them, but didn't spend much time. So didn't really get anything, but I did see something at Sound and Vision, which I'll just talk to in a little bit. So being we're on the West Coast, we had to go see my daughter out in San Diego. Spent 2 days out there, and that was it. And she took us to a wonderful garden by the water in the town called Encinitas, which I love, and beautiful gardens, walking, and just ocean view, just spectacular. And did wind up having an acai bowl, California style, with hemp seeds and the acai being the fruit from South America, with peanut butter and strawberries and bananas. It was fantastic. That evening we ended up doing sushi, all you could eat. It's the only way I could do sushi is all you can eat. This had to be the best sushi we ever had. And the creativity, as you look at some of the menu here, it was just out of this world. I don't remember the name of it. I surely know where it was. Anyway, it wasn't on the main drag. I'll mention that. It was actually in Oceanside. So my wife was kind of tired when we were in the car, and she said she would take a nap in the car. So I wound up going to Carlsbad, another town that I love, and Spin Records is there. I've talked about that before. Got in, bullshitted with the owner. We're hitting it off, talking. Love the store, and I just really enjoy going in there. And I usually find something. He's got some great selections, and one of the albums I did buy was a live album that was actually released back originally in '97, but this is on vinyl now. Crosby and Nash. It's called Another Stony Evening. So this is recorded in LA in '71. Stony Evening, yeah. Okay, so that was the situation they were in. And the sound is spectacular. The acoustic guitars are separated so nicely. The voices and vocals, there's a reason why they were so good and so popular and so on top of the world in that early 70s. They played their solo work in some CSNY songs from this. But they do banter. I just really love it, and like I said, there's a reason why they're so good. The music is so nice and so melodic, and lyrics were important back then. And it's like a Simon Garfunkel harmonies. It's just beautiful, really beautiful. Very crisp and clean sound. And yeah, so if you're interested, I know if you are, this is really good to get. It's about $24, I think. So you will get a contact high from this. Trust me. And pleasant. And like I said, Nash plays a little piano on one or two songs. There's some write up in here, but I'm not sure. So he had another album, one that I did see down in the other store, Sound and Vision in Utah. But I will mention it has to do with the Sex Pistols. So before I mention the album, I want to make sure you folks know, there's a reason for the colors. One is the British version, one is the US version. So if you're a collector, I like to collect these. That's about it for that. But when I went to a show once, I found this and I had to grab it. In fact, there was a young kid who was really obnoxious. And while I was talking and trying to talk to the vendor who had this album for $25, I said, "Will you take 20?" And this kid right over me says, "I'll give you more than that." And I just gave him the death stare. I just said, "That ain't happening, dude." I did get it for 20. This is the Sex Pistols. It's a promo copy. The Bullocks even got a hype sticker. This album may contain material unsuitable for airplay, but it does have the press kit, which is the Filth and Fury, and it has about 10 photos of the band in here, and all these little, Malcolm write-ups. And these pictures are just fantastic. There's some ones that look familiar. A couple, was one of Sid. Now, I'm not Sid was a great icon, and he was definitely, a piece of meat. He probably had some potential, went down the wrong path, but oh gosh, I'm just drawing a blank. Oh man, the bass player, Matlock. He definitely was a heart and soul for the Pistols. He brought some of the greatness to the band. But so the album that I want to talk about that I got is the album called Spunk. It's a Pistols album of, it says, original 1977 bootleg album, the infamous Spunk. And this just is a must for a collector, for a Pistols fan, punk fan. As you can see, the album has the song 17, Satellite, No Feelings, different names. So this is before Bullocks was actually recorded with Chris Thomas and the sound that you know. But this is raw. So Chris Spedding, the timeline is, a little choppy. So I always was questioning things, but it's basically Chris Spedding did a 3 songs in Majestic Studios in '76, and he recorded Problems, No Feelings, and Pretty Vacant. And basically Malcolm, showed off to some people. One of the people was the sound engineer, Dave Goodman, for the Pistols. He was a bass player. He played with Benny King. He also played with Jackson 5. He was pretty in tune with sound, with audio equipment. And anyway, so he had a studio he built with his father out on his parents' property. It was in a small garage, but they didn't want to go out there. Basically what happened is they got lost in the studio when they were recording with Spedding. The place was just so big and massive that they didn't capture their tight sound, their raw energy. So they wound up going to Denmark Street, their rehearsal space. and they brought Goodman brought all his goods there. Not a lot of effects, just a delay, maybe echo and reverb, no delay. The phase and flanger, and that Steve Jones used, and you could hear it on this album. You know, it's when they recorded, you know, some of these songs, different versions, different lyrics, different sound. It's much slower, but this album's called like the alternative debut. It's not that pow that, you know, the Bullocks album gave, but these songs are just cool to hear it in this version. And Dave did also a second session. He did it in Lansdowne and Wessex studio, and you know, more songs there, redid things. He had them just rehearse over and over like Anarchy, and they got, you know, these guys don't have the patience. So for I think like 100 takes. Chris Thomas, when he got them in the studios, was just 2 takes with Anarchy, but they were pretty polished with the songs, and it's better than you think. It's not as sloppy. When you hear a lot of the bootlegs of the Pistols back then, again, you know, Dave Goodman released a lot of these. Some of them are pretty crappy sound, but they were pretty cool, pretty tight in their playing. But some of them are bad. So session 2 was, you know, really in October, and I did want to point out. First of all, Spunk is out on this yellow, and I don't know, there's many versions of this Spunk. This is just a recent reissue, and I had to have it. I think it was like $20, which is, I think, fantastic. So if you have these 2 albums, The Swindle, The Great Rock and Roll Swindle, this one, you know, for the collector in me, I wanted it. But this is the double album, and this has some of the outtakes from these sessions. I'm sure you've seen this album around, but this is the cool one to have because it has, like I said, some of those outtakes. Johnny B. Good, Roadrunner. But Spunk is really an album I enjoy listening to. A different view. Dave Goodman really didn't know how to produce it. The Pistols moved really fast in that quick growth, and Goodman couldn't really tackle it and grab it. So that's why eventually they got rid of him and brought in Chris Thomas. You know, but yeah. So it was a record in '77. Matlock was let go somewhere in January. You know, Sid didn't play much. You know, Steve did most of the guitar and bass work on the album. But anyway, I got all these books here with the Pistols. I just enjoy reading about it. Anyway, that's what I got. I hope you got something out of this. Talk to you soon, VC. Bye-bye.